everybody. I'm glad you're here today. This is January 16, 2024, and this is a get ready video. I don't know how else to put it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You just need to get ready, all right? When I woke up this morning, I saw the headline, and in a minute I'm going to bring you what I saw. Many of you probably already saw it and guessed it, but at the end of this video, I'm going to bring you a word from the archives from the summer of 2023, which was just last summer, and I think you're going to find this word very helpful, very encouraging, very directive, and straight up, hey, listen and do. This is what's most important right now. All right, that's what you're going to find. I'm going to read it here at the end. Before I get to that, the headline I saw this morning when I got up on NY Prepper, I just turned on his channel right quick, see if the word was still going, and sure enough, it is barely. Just by the skin of its teeth, I'll tell you that. But no, I just saw that Iran had attacked the American consulate in Iraq. All right, and it wasn't just like these terrorist proxies. It was like their military. And I'm like, dang, son, do you want to fight? I mean, why? Y'all, I'm not going to worry about the why right now. But I'm just saying, that's what happened. Clearly, in the last 24 hours, another escalation in the Middle East, another shockwave. I don't know how else to put it. Our Lord has told us these things are going to happen. So I'm not surprised anymore too much, but I am, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. Okay, so I didn't even know some things that I didn't know. I didn't know these things would happen. So here they are, they're happening. So anyway, before I bring you this word, I want to share with you a story where I live. Now, y'all have been so kind. Y'all seem to like these stories. So I'll just tell you another one about where I live, and it will help you understand this word I'm bringing to you today. First of all, I want to tell you thank you. This morning, y'all, I toasted myself a Pop-Tart. Yes, I did. I know they're full of preservatives and sugar and bad stuff, but sometimes you just need one, all right? I'm just confessing to you, I toasted that Pop-Tart. I put a crap ton of butter on that Pop-Tart, and I ate it with my coffee. And while I was eating my Pop-Tart and drinking my coffee, I read your comments, and my goodness, you encouraged me. You taught me. Y'all, it takes a village. It really does. And I thank you for the things you write in the comments. They are insightful and they are encouraging. So keep commenting. Thank you and I thoroughly enjoyed my Pop-Tart, but I'm just going to tell you, I enjoyed reading your comments even more. And that's just the dadgum truth to it. Now, I will just tell you this. I live in the panhandle of Texas, all right? Y'all, I live in a little bitty town. And I live in a county, and y'all have heard me say this before, there are more cows in this county than there are people, and that's what, it always has been that way. And we choose to live here. We love living here, and we've lived here a long time. I was not raised here, but we live here in my adult life. I've lived here. So one of the things that was happening this last Saturday was we were taking down the church Christmas decorations at our church, okay? And it was just a small group of us that was able to come on Saturday and take down Christmas tree, take down the garland, take down the wreaths, all that fun stuff. And while we were taking it down, and I'm telling you this story so you can understand my brain a little bit, and I would love to see if anybody else's brains are this way, or is it just mine? So while we're taking it down, Larry, our preacher, said, do y'all know where the secret staircase is in this church building? Now, I've been in and out of that church building for decades, all right? But just now started going to church there full time. So we all said, no, we don't know where the secret staircase is. And he said, come here, I'll show you. And so I'm not going to tell you where the secret staircase. I want it to remain a secret, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So we went and found the secret staircase. He told me, he said, Gina, get on up there, find that light switch. Well, I'm 57. And the stairs to the secret staircase were pretty steep, but I was not daunted. I climbed those stairs, went up into the secret staircase place, and I kid you not, y'all, it was a huge open space that is not readily accessible or readily visible. I get back down, there's a group of us kids running up and down those stairs. I mean, they were just loving it. And I made the comment, ha 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 ha, if we ever get invaded by the dragon country or the bear country, we're going to be Anne Franking it up there in that place up there, because that's a perfect place for food and water. I'm going to start stalking it right now. Now, everybody in the group kind of laughed. All the adults did. My son just said, Mom's not kidding. And I was not kidding. But that is where my mind is. I'm like, we don't have time to mess around and act like things are like they used to be, because they're just flat not. All right? So that's one story. That gives you a little insight into me. Now, this next story is going to give you insight into the word I'm going to bring you at the end of this video. I need to tell you about a friend of ours. He lives here. He lives here in Bovina, was raised here, was, the first time we met this person, we called Scotty. Scotty was when he was young, but when he became grown up, he's Scott. So Scott, we met him in college. All right, we went to college with him and his wife Patty. All right, Scott and Patty, we love them. Oh man, we love them, and we have been through thick and thin together. All right, they're our age. I'm 57. My husband's 60. So Scott is maybe 61, because I think he's a year older than Mike. So Scott is one of those jolly farmers. Can you picture that in your head? He is overweight. He is tall. He is big. Let me get a drink. And he loves to laugh. And I mean, he loves to laugh. And he has a contagious laugh. And I'll tell you, the last time I talked to Scott was at Denver's funeral. Now, Denver was 50 years old and dropped dead of a heart attack. All right? So, just saying. So, it was a huge funeral, y'all. And this isn't even the story I was going to tell you. I'm going off on a sidetrack here. The funeral was huge. There were a lot of people there. Of course, it was unexpected death. And we were all, I don't know how y'all do funerals, but after the funeral, everybody goes outside and we wait for the casket to file past us and get loaded in the hearse. So we were all mingling out in the yard of the church building while the family was doing whatever they need to in there. And I just was standing by Scott. And Scott leaned over to me and he said, if this doesn't want to make you get a fast appointment with your cardiologist, I don't know what will. And you couldn't laugh out loud. But we were laughing, which is the best laughter when you're not supposed to be laughing. So that's Scott, okay? Now, here's the story that will show you this word, all right, that I'm going to bring you. When we were first here in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, in the early 2000s, from 2000, I don't even know what to call that decade, 2000, 2010, and maybe on to 2016. We had fish fries. All right, we have fish fries at our church. We had a couple. BL and Teen. If you know who BL is, he's the one that burned his combine up that in the story yesterday. Okay, this is BL. They would go fishing in Del Rio all summer and bring back fish. Now, was that legal? None of us asked. The less you knew, the better it was, because you're not supposed to have more than your limit. And if you run into the game warden, you just better hope you don't. And that was where they were at. But it didn't matter. We would fry up that fish. And the fish fry was about August, September of every summer, at the end of the summer. And it began at the crack of dawn, literally, because it was cool. But Bubby, who's BL's son, Bubby go to the barn and pull out the big cauldrons. And I swear, y'all, they were big cauldrons. They would fill them with oil. They'd start heating them early. And we would fry potatoes, fry the fish, and fry hash browns. And then these two big cauldrons. It was the men who did that. They would meal the fish right there and then throw them in the pot and then dip it out. It was a great day. And then everybody else brought side dishes. And I mean, we would have 150 people there, 200 people. The kids would be running around everywhere. They would be kicking off their shoes. I mean, they'd have, if you looked at the yard of the church building, over here would be just a pile of kids' shoes because they ran barefoot because we didn't have goat heads in the front yard of our church. So that was what we did. And Scott was always right there, laughing, right in the middle of it. So was everybody was. Everyone had a good time at the fish fry. And you talk about good food, y'all. That's when you bring the best pie you can make, the best cake, the best, well, you know, we had coleslaw. We would make coleslaw during the day. The women of the church would. And Teen would make a big thing of tartar sauce. Oh, y'all. It was good eating. I mean, it really was. And I don't know why this was. But it seemed like every year a storm would come while we were having the fish fry. Now, it may not rain all summer, but it seemed like when you had the fish fry, there'd be a storm. This one particular year, the fish fry was winding down. You're starting to clean up, you know, starting to put things away, clean it up, you know, divide out the stuff. We looked, and this was before cell phones. So if you wanted to know what was going on with the weather, you had to be in front of the TV, all right? So we weren't sure, but we could see a black cloud, and it was coming. It was coming our way. And y'all, it wasn't just a thunderstorm. It was black. I mean, you could look at it and go, that has a tornado in it, and that has hail in it. You know what that looks like. Even a green tinge to the cloud will I mean, if you see green and a dark cloud, you're fixing to get crapped on pretty bad. I don't know how else to say it, but it's going to be bad. So sometimes you will hear the hail coming. Once the hail starts, like, you know, a quarter mile away, you will hear it. You will hear the roar of the hail before it gets to you. This is one of those clouds. Well, we hurried, got the kids, got the shoes, found, you know, I don't know how they lost shoes back then, but like we'd only come home with one shoe and like we'll find the other one later. Anyway, grab the kids, get home. And that storm hit. Man, it was bad. It hailed. There were roofs that had to get replaced. It was one of those hailstorms. And Scott, who had just bought a brand new white pickup, was worried about his pickup. I just happened to look out my window, and you know what I saw? Scott had pulled up into my front yard in his brand new pickup and got underneath this tree of mine that was this huge willow kind of tree, so that his pickup wouldn't get hailed on. And he just stayed there. He just parked there. He put treads in my grass and everything. It made me just the slightest bit mad, but I just kept going. It just kept going. All right? So my point in making the story, and he laughed. You can't stay mad at this man. Because when I saw him later, he was like, hope you didn't mind me parking in your front yard. I was just trying to protect my truck from the hailstorm. I'm like, yeah, no, I am mad. And he just laughed, and I just laughed, and it was like, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And all these years later, y'all, it doesn't matter. There's not much that does matter after time goes by, you know. Tread marks in your front yard are very minimal on the scale of things. So anyway, that's Scott. Okay? And he's still like it. He's still just like that. He would do that to this very day. He hadn't changed at all in that way. So I say all this to make this point. When you see the storm coming, you do what it takes to protect what you have. I'm going to say that one more time. When you see the storm coming, you do what you can to protect what you have. Now, let me tell you, we've all seen storms coming. We're living in a winter storm right now. We knew it's coming. You do what you can to get ready for it. And if you don't, well, you're just plain stupid. I don't know how else to put it. So, when I wake up and read a headline like I read this morning, I don't know what's going to happen next. I think it's quite possible that not much will happen next. I think that's very possible. I think it's probable that most Americans have no idea what happened between Iran and the American consulate. And if they did, I think they'd go, eh. Some of us are Anne Franking it, y'all. I know that. Okay? Some of y'all are with me in that regard. And I'm not always in that mindset. I try to keep a balance. I really do. But I think most people I know have no idea. Regardless of the response, regardless of what happens today, tomorrow, next week, next month, things are not defusing. I can safely say that with confidence. So, that brings me to this word. Let me find it. This is July 15th, 2023. The world is unraveling with dust particles of disaster swirling around you. These disasters caused by men who know me not. But I warn you now, child, to warn others. The greatest disaster of all is not knowing the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. Therein lies a debris field of devastation. The events in your natural world will continually escalate one after the other. What can we do about the decline of this life? My children ask. I say, burn brightly for me. Establish your feet on my path for you. Shed the things of this world that weigh you down. For what you are seeing in the natural is repercussions of what is taking place in the heavens. The unseen spiritual battles over the souls of mankind. Choose you this day whom you will serve, then burn strong and bright for me, knowing I am with you always unto the end of time. All right, that is that day. I was just looking back. That popped out at me and thought, I'll just read that today. And the Lord, yep. He was like, yeah, that's a good one. Read that one and remind everybody that whatever happens in this world, the greatest tragedy, the greatest devastation is not knowing Jesus Christ as the Son of God and not believing in him and not following him. That is the greatest disaster. That is cataclysmic. So we need to always kind of keep things in perspective. And I'm talking to myself. Y'all, I'm talking to myself. I'm sitting here thinking about Anne Frank up in this attic. So, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not just preaching at you. Yeah. All right, July 27th, 2023. And this reminds me of what we see coming. When you see a storm, you better take cover. Okay? All right. July 27, 2023. Child, upon the horizon, look, it is the coming of my Son. Be not dismayed or discouraged in the things you see happening around you. Instead, look to the horizon, for there you will see the hope of my Son's return. Many are not ready. Their lamps are dry, empty, cracked, useless. There will not be enough time to ready themselves, for it will be a flash, a blink, a nanosecond, a snap, so very fast no one will be able to change in time. The sorrow that awaits them. In this life, they see themselves as more enlightened than my children, but oh, the foolishness of knowledge from man will cost them their souls. Do you see the wheat field? Nearing its time for the combine? You are living that moment now. The day of the farmer rises from his breakfast. The day the farmer rises from his breakfast and says, today we cut wheat. I am sitting at the breakfast table. You are that near my return. Stop everything and warn the people. Repent, I am near. Be bold, child, and don't hold back. Okay, that was it. That was it. Now, it makes sense to me. Like I said, the Lord's going to show things to me in a rural farming kind of way because I'm familiar with that. I don't know how he shows things to you. I don't know anything about the fishing industry. I'm curious about it. When people from the East Coast do things with their boats, I'm like, to them, that's familiar. So if the Lord talks to you in that way, that would make sense. But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you about sitting at the breakfast table with a farmer. We have a farmer friend, Bubby. I've mentioned him. And he'll call in the morning, or used to, and say, breakfast ready? Or he'll call in the evening, dinner ready? And he doesn't want dinner, he doesn't want breakfast. He's just, that's how and then he talks about why he called. But sometimes I would say, yeah, breakfast is ready. Come over. And in a few minutes, in comes Bubby. With his overalls on and his farm hat, sweat-ringed farm hat. And he'd sit down and eat whatever I put before him. And he'd be happy to eat, and we'd sit there and talk. But when the farmer says it's time to cut the wheat, and if our Lord is sitting at the breakfast table, if it's that close, y'all, then we better get ready. We better get ready. So, however you do in the natural to get ready, I don't depend on all this stuff. I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I'm glad. All right. But I know where my salvation comes. I know what takes care of me. I know who takes care of me. And it is God. The ark is the door. It feels like the door is shutting to the ark. Are you ready for the Lord's return? It may not be for another 1,000 years, y'all. I don't know. I don't know when he's coming back. But I know he's coming back to get his bride, the church, and that's us. And we will spend eternal life with him. And that is more of a reality than what we're living now. I believe that. I know this to be true. So where are you? Get ready now. Get your pickup where it needs to be so it won't get hailed on. And that could be the pickup of your soul, I guess. That's kind of funny. Anyway, so do whatever you need to do. I don't mean to make light, but sometimes if you just don't laugh, you're going to be crying all the time. So anyway, that's all I have, y'all. Please comment. Let me know what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're thinking. If you need to be prayed for, tell us. We'll pray. Stay safe, America. This is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.